Hello out there to my 3 regular followers and listeners on the internet. My name is Matt, and I welcome you all to the Fueled by Coffee podcast, where we like to drink coffee, chat about life, and have some laughs along the way. Today we have a new guest, which I'm very excited about, and I apologize if I'm a little low energy today. I've been up since 1 a.m., and it is currently almost 5 p.m. I'm a bit of a sleepy boy at the moment. This may end up being the sultry jazz episode, where I speak very low energy with my sultry jazz voice. But
ASMR podcast.
I'm just ASMR. Yeah, I'm just hoping that this coffee wakes me up, and I'm sure our chats will produce some good laughs, some good conversation. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Today we have on, we just said off air, a good friend of mine who, this is like our first official time, I think, like talking, not over text. It's been about 10 years, and we're going to get into how we met in a little bit, but I'm sitting here with my friend David over Zoom. We are like across the country from each other, but I'm excited. This is something we've been talking about for a minute. So David, welcome to the podcast. I hope you're as hyped as I am for this.
I'm majorly. I was actually going to ask, how far is, because you're in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, I'm about like 2 hours from Philly. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to ask, how I suck at geography. How far is that from Alabama?
Maybe like, I don't know, like 12, 16 hours, something like that.
Oh, God. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, because next week I'm leaving for some extra Army stuff they're having me do. But yeah, I was going to be in Alabama for a couple weeks. So I was asking, seeing like, who's around there. But
yeah,
I gotta come visit one of these days, man.
I know that's definitely like on my plate of things I want to do post COVID
pandemic.
But yeah, that's another thing I want to get into then, just like where we thought we were going to be right now and where we're at like currently at the time of this recording. This is being posted at the end of the season, so by the time this is up, the world may be back to some semblance of normal, but at the time of this recording, we're still like, things are still I don't want to say unraveling, but we're still on the mend, I should say.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, super excited for this episode. We got, outlets, music, musical influences, lots of fun stuff to talk about. So I'm excited for that. As always, drinking coffee. I have doubled back to a coffee I had earlier this season. I'm drinking the Bones Coffee Company Jelly Donut coffee. It's pretty good. You'd think it wouldn't be, but just put a little bit of vanilla creamer in there, and it's pretty good, man. It's a nice dark roast, wakes you up, and it's got a nice flavor to it. So shout out to Bones.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm more of a tea person.
Tea person. What's your favorite kind of tea?
Coffee just destroys so I have really bad acid reflux, and so like coffee just destroys me as much as I love it. But probably either mint tea or cardamom tea.
Okay,
that's good shit.
Yeah, I'm if I'm going tea, it's usually like the chamomile or is there eucalyptus in that? It's like chamomile. It smells like Vicks. It's really good.
I got you.
Puts you to sleep.
That's good. Yeah, or lavender tea.
That
really
stuff.
Good.
Yeah. So definitely great stuff. If you haven't heard the most recent episodes, we're nearing the end of season 3. We talked about a lot of different stuff. We've talked about music. We've had some nice geek talks. We've talked about the Eagles and how depressing they are. We talked about just interests in general, positive mental attitude. I interviewed a professional wrestler, so like lots of cool stuff. Go check it out wherever you're listening from. We are now on Podcast Addict and Stitcher and Pocket Casts, and just check for Fueled by Coffee podcast wherever you're at, or if you're here on SoundCloud. But we're just gonna dive right in, man. So, David, you and I met about 10 years ago almost.
I'd say 10 years ago, probably.
I was like getting real heavy into music. Like I was into Blink pretty heavily for about a year and a half. And so what I remember, I'm not sure what you remember, but I feel like I got the Urethra Chronicles, the 2 documentaries about Blink. I got those for Christmas. And I just, I think I was in like 8th or 9th grade at the time. I just made a post, and I was like, oh, Urethra Chronicles, like, cool. And I think like you were one of the people who liked it. And from there, like we just followed each other and we just started chatting, and it was just like a blink bromance from that point on, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly how it started. I think this is like when Instagram first started.
Mm-hmm.
It was like still in its infancy. Like there was no such thing as like an influencer. Yeah. I think when we first got on Instagram, it was just like people with a lot of followers, but it wasn't like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I did some hashtag Blink-182 thing, and then when I was going through the tags, I saw your post, I liked it, we followed each other, and dude, it's been like 10 years, man. That's wild. But for real, we've talked, we've chatted, we've had a lot of conversations, but this is the first time. It's crazy to say, dude, but like this is legitimately the first time in 10 years I think we've actually seen each other like face to face.
It's pretty wild, but it's really cool, and it's one of those things that like you and I have talked off and on for years about, like we gotta like meet up somewhere and just like chill or work on music or something. And you know, like me being in high school when we met, it was like I had no money and I was in school and stuff, and then like going into adulthood, there was a lot of things that were so different then for me than they are now. Like now I'm so much more of like a free spirit, and I'm just like, fuck it, let's go have fun and go on a trip, you know, like back then I was so like, oh, I don't know, like that might be, you know, a bad idea or like whatever. But now I'm like, you know, I'm itching to get back to traveling with the situation that the whole world's been in for the last year. Like
back to normal. Yeah, dude, it's weird. I've adjusted, man. Like I don't feel right walking into a place without a mask now.
Yeah, it's
like I'll forget my mask in my car, or like I'll realize that like I placed an order at a drive-through and I'm not wearing it, and I'm like, oh shit, like I was.
Yeah, it's my girlfriend and I talk often about like it's gonna be so weird when no one has to wear them anymore. Like like at first it was so weird because it was like I remember when all this stuff kicked in and I was thinking like that's not going to be us, that'll never be us, and now here we are, and like it's just the norm, like you just do it, and it's like, oh, whatever, you know.
I'll be honest, dude, I don't know, man. I think even when like the mask mandates are gone, like I honestly think I'm still going to wear mine most like public places that I go to. I've adjusted to it, and like the more I think about it, I'm like it's really not an inconvenience, and it's like I don't know, something about the mask now that I've worn it so much, it's like it just kind of makes sense now, just wearing it out and about, and I feel like I can just kind of hide my expressions too. Like no one can see me, so I'm just like whatever.
It's like a double up if you wear sunglasses and the mask. Like no one, it's like total poker face.
You're just neutral, bro. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it's one of those wild things, and you know, never did I ever imagine that like this would be my life at 23, 22, 23, just like, you know, like I remember my friend Aaron and I, we did a little special episode like literally days before Pennsylvania said we're shutting down, and he was like, oh, it's just a rumor right now, but like, and I was like, oh yeah, it's not gonna happen, like we'll be fine. And then like a couple days later it was like, oh shit, this is like for real, like this is life now. But like you said, it was an adjustment, and like, you know, for me, I've been fortunate enough to be working this whole time.
Me too. Yeah, and it's crazy because like that meme, bro, I don't know if you ever saw it, but it was this meme that started circulating right around 2020 where it was like, oh, 1820, there was some, you know what I mean, there was some disease. 1920, oh, you know, that was that the Spanish flu, maybe?
Yeah, Spanish flu, yeah.
And then it was like, oh, 2020, and I remember people like joking, being like, oh, wouldn't that be crazy? And it was like, oh my god, like that. So, you know, for the people who uncover these podcasts 100 years from now, man, freaking 2120, man, like just prep something gonna go down, man.
Yeah, we lived through like a history book chapter, which is crazy.
Yeah,
like I mean, obviously there was stuff like 9/11 and like the Iraq War and all that stuff, but like this itself is a big event. Yeah, like it's a huge thing.
Yeah, for sure. This is gonna be. I'm calling it right now. This is gonna be a meme in 2120, dude.
Maybe we'll, by the miracles of modern medicine, we'll still be alive at that point, and we'll live to see the meme.
Yeah, they're gonna start incorporating audio into memes, but like still. I mean, we have videos, but like, you know what I mean. Like, this is just gonna turn into its own thing.
Yeah.
Oh, they called it 100 years ago.
Oh man, but yeah,
we're just old and senile. Like, I want Tom back in Blink.
At that point,
they'll like, go to sleep, Grandpa.
They'll have like preserved his brain, and somehow they'll have him performing like they'll have his brain sitting in like some fluid, you know, and he'll just
like
be
Futurama.
Yeah, like something like that, basically. Yeah. But it's just crazy. Like pre all of this, I had plans to go to Philly. Like I had been to Philly 3 times before all this happened. I had been to Vermont to record. I went all over the place, and I was planning another Philly trip to go see a friend. And, you know, so much has happened since, and now I'm looking ahead to like all the things I want to do after we're able to, you know, just get back to it again. And hopefully by the time this episode's up, you know, we're able to, as I said, you know, travel freely. And I remember I texted you, and I was like, a couple weeks ago, I was like, dude, you're on my top 3. Like, we gotta meet up. We gotta do something. And you were like, fake. You're like, fake ass fan. You're like, not even number 1. Like, and I was like, I think I was like going to bed or something, and it was like one of those things where in hindsight, it's like, man, I wish I would have been like, well, I never said you weren't number 1, or just like some, you know, some lame joke. Just, I don't know.
I have a super guilty conscience, bro. Like, so that's how I am.
Yeah.
I'll say something and I'll dwell on it for the rest of the day, and I'm just like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Like, definitely, like, I want to get to Philly, which I've heard isn't really in good shape right now, anyways, because there's like I've had a few friends that just moved away from Philly because it's kind of a mess right now. So like I definitely want to hit Philly. I definitely the last time I was in Vermont, which I don't know if you've ever been to Vermont, it's like way east from where you're at.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, I rented out like it was like a tiny house. It was like a cabin sort of thing on top of a mountain, no cell service, and I just took my music stuff and like wrote music. And
damn, dude, you pulled a Bon Iver on everybody.
Dude, it was so much fun. And like, you know, I was single at the time, and I was thinking like, man, like this would have been really nice, like with someone else. So I'm like itching to take my girlfriend up. It's just like a really nice little getaway. So that's on my list. And then definitely want to meet up with you. I'll either come out your way, because I've never been, the furthest I've been west is like Missouri, and I was like 10. So
really,
I've never experienced the West like fully. So
you ever been to California?
No, man. I would like to though.
That's crazy. Yeah, dude, come out, man. There's luckily with Utah, there's enough. It's the perfect state if you're an outdoorsy type of person. So like, while quarantine and stuff sucked, like it was nice knowing I could still go out hiking and hit the trails and stuff, because you're not like surrounded by people, you know.
Yeah.
So that was pretty nice.
Yeah, I've heard great things about the West. He was actually a teacher of mine in high school. He goes out to Montana every year. He built a cabin up in like in the woods, and he recently got a job there a couple years ago. And he was telling me like, yeah, I went for my interview, and you know, he's from like the Allentown, Philadelphia area. He was like, you know, out here we're so just like, you're either like super early or you're right on time. And he said, you know, he showed up to this interview early, and like no one was there. And then like, you know, the time for the interview came, no one showed up. And then like he said, people started filing in like late, and he said it's just so laid back. It's like a completely different world. Like,
yeah.
And I think that's really cool. It's just so weird that like we live in this country where like, you know, things can be so polar opposite. But that's,
dude, I've been to enough states, bro. I've been to enough states where like every single state in this country could be its own country, dude.
Yeah.
Especially like going from like Utah to California. Like, yeah, every state in this country, dude, it's entirely its own thing.
So are you like from California? Like, is that where you grew up and then you moved?
Originally, yeah.
Okay. And then you're like in Utah currently?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been in Utah for want to say, I moved here like my junior year of high school, I think.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So it's been.
yeah. What do you have any plans that you're looking forward to, like post COVID? Like, is there anything that you're like, I got to do that, you know?
Going to Europe, man. That's my biggest thing. Traveling to Europe. That was the one thing I was gonna do this year. But that's like it, honestly. Like I'll be completely honest there. Like people, I don't know. I kind of, that was like the whole thing with COVID. Like, oh, I had so many plans and you know all this shit. Like my biggest goal was going to Europe, like in the summer, last year. But bro, like I feel like 2020 just forced me to like get all my shit in order.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. I didn't see any. Granted, right? Like it's the deaths and stuff. You know, people who've been personally impacted. Of course, you know that's terrible. I'm talking personally, like my year. Like I feel it was a great year. Like I feel it forced me to get all my shit in order and prioritize. Because I like when it all started, we started working from home. And I've always been into calisthenics, right? Mm-hmm. And like the gyms were always packed, all this shit. And like I hated running. Yeah. And then like the day that I started working from home, I just kind of sat down and I was like, all right, like I'm either going to work from home and be just crazy lazy because I'm just going to sit here all day, or take this opportunity, you know, start finding a way to, you know, just do calisthenics at home, start running every other day. And just force myself to get into a habit. And then it's like I got in like the best shape I've been in. I started playing music more. I found a fucking dope ass guitar teacher. And she's just been just drilling everything, bro. You know what I mean? And like having lessons every week. So I feel like 2020 was, you know, personally, I feel like it was a great year for me.
That's awesome.
Like, helped me get on my, like, yeah, really just traveling. Like that one trip I had, that was like the one thing where I was like, fuck, like I can't go, but you know, maybe I can go later this year now that everyone's getting vaccinated.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's like a really good way to look at it too. Like my friend and I did a PMA episode earlier in the season. Like, you know, one of the things we covered is like, you know, there are things you can control and there are things that you can't control. And it seems like you made the best of what you could control, which is really cool. And I guess like for the other side of that coin, for me, like I had met Kayla, my girlfriend, maybe a month and a half before all this started. So like we had each other through the whole thing, and like that was a really good, I don't want to say like, it was just nice to have each other to lean on through all of it, because it was just, you know, just a wild time, man. But let's jump into some more fun stuff right now. One thing that you and I have always bonded over is music, and for many, music is a huge outlet. I know it's been for me. Also, you know, doing these podcasts is like, this is like my escape. This is my, you know, my dream, I guess like my dream job currently. And it just makes me feel great. But you, on the other hand, have a YouTube channel. So I'm going to turn the reins over to you and let you talk about the YouTube gig that you got going on.
Yeah. And actually I was going to say that too. Like I kept for years, I was putting off, because, you know, I had uploaded like 5 or 6 videos years ago. And I just fell off of it, and I was like, I'm gonna start uploading again. And so, yeah, it's it's a simple channel, man. Yeah, I drive around, I listen to my music, because I feel like that's like the best environment. It's like while you're driving around listening to your music, you know, that's kind of when you're the most open and free, just kind of listening to, you know.
For sure.
So yeah, I just drive around listening and reacting to albums that people are recommending. And I feel like I got really lucky, and it was like a huge boost for me, because I was at some army shit. And I remember coming back and I was like, yeah, I'll try these reviews again. I think I did like 2. I did like Beartooth and then Joji, I think. And then one day I forgot what I was going to review, and one of my best friends is like a huge Dance Gavin Dance fan.
Oh, dude, they're so good.
And I'd never listened to them, like ever. And so I was like, it came up on my music alerts, you know. It was like, oh, new Dance Gavin Dance album. And I was like, all right, I'll check them out. I'll see what all the hype is. And it was their new album, right? Afterburner. And blew my mind, bro. I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. This is like next level fucking musicianship, dude. Like everything is so solid. And I uploaded it. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, cool, like that's a new review, and I uploaded it. And then like the next day, it was like at 1,500 views, and I had like probably, I think like 50 comments, right? But to me, you know, most of my videos get like 200. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell? And then it grew and grew. And I think by like the end of the week, I probably had like 5,000 views on it and a couple hundred comments. And I was like, and people were just talking to me and subscribing. I had like 50 subscribers.
That's awesome.
And I shot up to like, I think like 350, 400, I think. And so after that, you know, I did another Dance Gavin Dance album and another one, and I just kind of stayed with it. And then I forgot who it was, but someone sent me a screenshot on Instagram. They were like, bro, look at this. And someone who had watched it put it on the Dance Gavin Dance subreddit.
What?
And so people,
dude?
Yeah, and so people were watching it on there, and like those, like all of those have like a couple thousand views, and then I'm at like almost 800 subs, and like less than a year too. You know what I mean? I went from like not even 100 subs, and like I'm close to 1,000 right now. So I was like, dude, this is dope. And it's just like, I feel like that's where I get the most dopamine is like comments, bro. Like people will comment, and I'll just talk to people in the comment section on YouTube, and it's so much fun just talking about music, dude. But yeah, that's basically all I do, man. I'll just take music and and I love everything. So it's like there's like Haley Williams on there. There's Beartooth. You know, the new Phoebe Bridgers I just did.
Do you mainly do like new albums, or have you ever thought about like going back and I apologize if you already have, but have you ever thought about going back and doing like Dude Ranch or Enema of the State or like albums that are like older, or do you mainly stick to the new stuff? Yeah,
so that's one thing I want to do is start going back into older stuff that I did, or to older stuff that I never got around to listening to. And I actually said that in the Phoebe Bridgers one that I'm uploading tomorrow, because I was just like, I think I took maybe like 5 or 6 years where I don't know why, but I was just this metal elitist like asshole, bro.
We all go
just
through it.
Like,
we all go through
it. Where that was like, that's it, man. Like if it's not August Burns Red, you know what I mean? Like that was all I listened to. And I was just such a hater, bro, on like pop and like Indian shit, because I was like, where's the fucking breakdown, bro? You know what I mean? Like I thought I was so tough shit.
Dude, I'm pretty sure on one of these podcasts I've said the same thing about myself, and then it's like if you would have, because I started making like lo-fi beats and stuff this year, and it's like if you would have told me 10 years ago, hey, this is what music you're going to be making in 10 years, I would have been like, no, I'm not. Like that shit sucks, you know? But like,
that's exactly how I was. Yeah, dude, if I could find myself a couple years ago, straight up, it's like, look, man, it's like my amp, my pedal, everything I've got the delay and reverb set to the highest setting, bro. Okay, like this is what I listen to. This is what I make now. Just sad boy music, bro. And I kind of fell off like the whole metalcore thing. There's still a handful of bands. There's probably like 5.
Oh, for sure.
That like I still am like religious about, but I feel like a lot of them, bro, like they all just follow the same formula. They'll like their first 2 albums will be like really heavy and really good and promising, and then it's just Mike Karaneka, the lead singer of Devil Wears Prada.
Okay, yeah.
He was talking about an interview where he was saying like a lot of these metalcore bands now, like they're just glorified boy bands. And I hate agreeing with that, but like like they're heavy-ish, but it's just clean vocals now. It's just all this singing. Dude,
I tried listening to the new A Day to Remember album on the way home from
Me
work
too,
yesterday,
bro.
and I could not do it. I love A Day to Remember. They are like one of my musical pillars that my musicianship was built on. My one friend, I was just chatting with him, and he's like, I'm about to get on this podcast and rip up the new A Day to Remember. I was like, what? And he said, it's like top 40 pop garbage. And I was like, nah, that can't be right. And I swear to God it is, dude. There was one song, I think it's called like Last Chance to Dance. It almost sounds like Knocked Loose. And I was like, all right, I could vibe with this. And then he starts like, it's just like the corniest, lamest, most cookie cutter chorus. And I was like, this sucks. Like, this is garbage. And it's so sad.
Yeah, dude. No, it's so, and it must suck for them because I didn't even know they were recording a new album or that they were releasing one. And it popped up on my Facebook feed, you know, it was like, new A Day to Remember, check out our new album. And bro, I clicked on the comments, bro, and every single comment on Facebook was just, it's trash, it's just straight pop. What the fuck happened to you guys? Yeah. This is like the worst album you guys ever. I couldn't find a single positive thing, bro. And my thing is like, I've been like that with their last few things because my whole view is like I'm all about growth, and I'm all about growing as a musician and changing. But I feel like there's like a fine line of like experimenting, trying to find your sound, and then just completely shying away from everything you've done. And just like my biggest example is Bring Me the Horizon. Mm-hmm. Because Suicide Season, you know what I mean? Everything they've done is just, it's heavy, just these ridiculous chugs and riffs and breakdowns and just Ollie tearing his voice out. Yeah. And their new stuff, it's like, it's very new. It's very electronic. It's even got like some pop stuff to it. But I don't know, but something about it, you can tell they're still rooted in how they started. Yeah. So like I respect it versus this other stuff where like it's just pop. I feel like they're just trying to get on like the Billboard's top 10. You know what I mean? And they just do away with their entire sound, and I just kind of like lose it after that. Yeah.
It's good. It's funny that you bring up Bring Me the Horizon because like I feel like they were kind of the first band in that group. Like if you look at like Asking Alexandria, Bring Me the Horizon, Attack Attack, like the bands from that kind of circle. Bring Me the Horizon was the first one to kind of like make their sound a little more pop. Yeah. But then all the other bands just followed suit. Like Asking Alexandria, I think it's their most recent album. It's just got like a red thing on the cover. It's just like radio rock. Like it sounds like Papa Roach, which like there are some good songs on there, but it's not Asking Alexandria. And same with Attack Attack. They just dropped a new single like late.
I heard it, bro. I was hyped for that, dude. I loved Attack Attack, man.
Dude, yeah. And it's funny, I bought like one of their new merch items. I bought the beanie and I was wearing it at this like video game store in Easton, and the guy behind the counter was like, "Oh, like dude, nice hat. I haven't heard about them in forever." And I said, "Well, yeah, did you hear their new song?" And he was like, "No. I didn't even know they were doing anything." I said, "Yeah, man, like I said it took me a couple listens to warm up to. I said, but it's like if you followed Asking Alexandria, Bring Me the Horizon, it's just kind of lumped in that like radio rock kind of stuff. Like, and I mean, I love Attack Attack. They're one of those. They're like Blink. Like I will always try and support them because they're, you know, I mean,
Attack Attack probably for me was like what Blink did for me as far as pop punk is like what Attack Attack did for me as far as metalcore. Like they were like my introduction to it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, yo, this is different. This is dope. You know what I mean? Like they're incorporating all these weird fucking synths and shit. You know,
auto-tune. I mean? That first album is so cool. Like,
yeah, dude. Attack Attack was, dude. They were solid, man. I was really hyped when I saw that they were back together.
That and kind of just like branching into the metalcore thing. If you're like a Volumes fan, Volumes is like one of those bands in that genre that I'm just like, if I'm in the mood to listen to something heavy, I listen to them because it's also melodic too. Like they got the weird little guitar stuff, and another band who's done a bunch of different stuff, but I feel like they've been consistently good throughout their releases. The one thing that we brought up off air, and I said we should talk about on air, is that new Machine Gun Kelly album that came out.
Yeah.
So my introduction to him was actually the song that he did with Travis on his previous album. It's called I Think I'm Okay with Youngblood. And like it was funny, like I'd always hear it through the wall in my younger sister's room, and I was like, what is this song? Like, because all I could hear is like the piano melodies and the drums, and I thought it was like an electronic song, like from what I could hear. So I Shazammed it one day, and I was like, wait, this is like Travis Barker and Machine Gun Kelly, like what? And I listened to it, and I was like, this is banging, like super cool. And then when I heard he was gonna do this Tickets to My Downfall album, I was like, all right, I'm intrigued, like I'll give it a shot. And I would say it definitely surprised me, like with the quality of it. I mean, Travis is on it, and of course, like, you know, Travis is always phenomenal, but definitely like a solid listen for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it was like I remember when it came out or when it was announced, because I got introduced to Machine Gun Kelly like 2011, 2012.
Okay.
And I'm talking like his first two like EPs, like not even like his full length. Like he was still just doing mixtapes and freestyles and stuff. You know what I mean? Like he was kind of blowing up, and then of course, you know, there's the whole thing with Eminem.
Oh yeah,
right.
Which everyone's still hanging on to for some reason.
Yeah, which I mean, I love them both, but you know, and obviously Eminem's disc was incredible.
Yeah.
But you know, he's kind of stopped for a while, and then when I saw the name of it, I was like, Tickets to My Downfall, and I was like, oh god, he's gonna turn this into this whole my haters want to see me fail. Well, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and even like when I saw that, I was just kind of like, grow the fuck up, bro. Like, calm down. like just keep releasing your music, dude. No one gives a shit. And I heard the first single, and I was like this is okay. Like, I can get behind this. And I expect, like I said, for the album, I really expected it to be like listening to it and thinking, oh, you can clearly tell it's his first attempt at a rock album. Mm-hmm. But you get just like 2-3 songs in, bro, and you completely forget for a minute that like, oh, right, he's a rapper. Like you're listening to it and you're like, this is just a straight pop punk album. It's just a fun record. Mm-hmm. It's just a good time.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, he killed it, man. That song with Halsey, like he's great, dude. He did really well with releasing that album. I think it was solid.
Yeah, I saw a couple people on Twitter. I think I had listened to it once, and a tweet popped up, and someone was like, "Oh, like if this Machine Gun Kelly album, because did it get nominated for any awards or anything? I can't remember. I think
I don't know.
It was just being like reviewed very favorably, and someone was like, "Oh, if this was any other artist, you would have just written it off as generic pop music." But like you said, he came from a different genre, and it was his first attempt. Like, imagine, like it's probably the same. I mean, it's the evolution of the genre. I will say that. Like, pop punk now is not going to sound like pop punk in 2000 or 2001.
And it doesn't.
It's a different. Like, my brother-in-law and my older sister, they're 10 years older than me, and so they were around like when Blink blew up, and they always, you know, talk about like, I'll send them up like, oh, check out this pop punk band or check out these guys, and they're like, see, back in my day this would have been considered like emo, or like, you know, like they'll be like, this is good, but it's like, you know, but it's just the evolution of the genre, I think.
Yeah, so it's the whole what's it called? It's that whole pop punk revival thing that's going on. I really think the Wonder Years started that, or they were one of the first.
Dude, I love the Wonder Years.
That's another band we bonded over when we first started talking. Was the Wonder Years. That's
right. I've seen them.
That's when that was when the Greatest that what the album's called?
Yeah, Greatest Generation.
Yeah, like because I think we started talking like right when that album like first first came out too, and we were like, "Yo, this is some solid shit." Because the Wonder Years have done amazing things.
Yeah, and I think for me it was so cool because like I got into them when I was like 15, 16, and then like being like, oh, they're from my area, like they're from Philly. I live right by Philly. That was so cool, and I was like, you know, they just kind of became like these hometown hero kind of guys that I over glorified. But I've seen them like 3 times, and every time they were just consistently good, like nailed it. I cried every time I saw them, and I'm not saying that to be like, you know, over exaggerating, but I just totally like. He just hits you in the feels, man.
Every single time, freaking Cigarettes and Saints comes out. Mm-hmm. Every time that song comes on, bro, I just, that's just, it's just next level writing, dude.
Yeah.
Because like knowing Dan, like I know he's a very like outspoken atheist, and just that chorus, bro, like freaking. I know there's not a heaven, but that doesn't mean I don't like to picture you there. That's like, fuck me, dude. Like that's, he set out to break some people's hearts with that line.
Yeah.
And he accomplished that for sure.
Yeah, dude, like the last time I saw them, that album had been out for maybe 6 months, and they went on tour with Tiny Moving Parts.
Yeah.
A band called Microwave, who I think got a little bit bigger now than they were.
They are. Yeah, they are. I saw Microwave at that was the last Warp that I went to.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember everyone just wore these shirts that said Microwave, and I was just like, what the fuck is Microwave? And I found out it was one of the bands there.
Yeah, and so it was Tiny Moving Parts, Microwave, Let Live with Jason Allen Butler, and then the Wonder Years. And oh, dude, it was wild. So like I felt bad for Microwave because they were the opening band and everyone was just kind of like, who are these guys?
Waiting
like,
for everyone else.
Oh yeah, because then like Tiny Moving Parts came on and the place just went nuts. Like we started a pit and we were screaming along to Dakota and like I was crying and like it was just like and I got to meet Tiny Moving Parts, which was super cool.
Hell yeah.
Like. And then Let Live was absolutely ridiculous. Like if anyone is
Jason is a fucking animal, dude.
It's so cool though.
I've seen him I saw Let Live at Warped a couple years ago, and yeah, dude, that man is just on a whole different level with his just being a front man.
Stage presence.
Yeah, stage presence. He's an animal. He's ridiculous.
Yeah, the place where I saw him, it was like this. It used to be like an old theater. It's called Sherman Theater in Stroudsburg, and they still have like those, like I don't want to say like stereotypical, but like when you think of an old theater, like the booths on each side of the stage.
Yeah. Did he climb them?
He climbed up, and he was dangling off the edge of the top one, and because I was like, wait, where'd he go? And then I was like, oh, there he is, and it was. And my friend Jack, who was like at that time, he was getting more into like the hippy dippy shit, like John Frusciante from the Chili Peppers, like his solo stuff that he did when he was on heroin.
I love his solo stuff, dude.
Yeah, like he was getting into that stuff, but I dragged him along to the show, and he was like, "Dude, Let Live was the best band of the night because they were nuts, like so cool." Such a good show, man. And then like for the encore, the Wonder Years did Stained Glass Ceilings with Jason Allen, and
yeah,
oh my god, I almost had like a heat stroke at that show. It was. I get really nervous before I go to shows. I just get this bad anxiety, and like I couldn't eat, and I was like, oh, I'll be fine. Like we'll just go, we'll have a good time. So we went, and the show starts like normal time, 6-7 o'clock at night, and we go in, we're listening, we're pitting, we're just screaming along. We'd get water in between sets, but then like the Wonder Years came on, and of course everyone rushes the barricade. And I remember I started to feel like pretty sick and like almost like a little lightheaded, but I was like, ooh, like I'm going to throw up. Like this is not good. And like we were trying to start a pit and no one was moving. So it was like a bunch of big sweaty dudes just like really tightly like pushing each other. And like it just didn't work. And I remember we got through like maybe 4 or 5 songs and I was like, I should probably get back. So I backed up a little bit because it was so hot, like up towards the stage, super hot. And I backed up, and the bassist played like a low E in between songs, and I felt it go through my whole body. And I was like, I'm gonna throw up. Like this is not good. So then I had to go out to the lobby, and as I'm walking out to the lobby, Soupy's like, all right, we're gonna play one that we don't normally play, and it's gonna be full band. And then they play the Living Room song. And I was in the lobby, like, sweating it out with the water. And I was like, of course I'm missing this right now. Like, what luck I have, But I watched the rest of the set from the back. And, like, I saw the thermostat was set to, like, 70. So that's probably why it was so hot up by the stage. Cause it was like, yeah, so just a wild experience. And then I just remember the whole ride home. I was like, my friend Jack, I was like, dude, I hope I don't throw up. I'm sorry if I throw up in your car. Like... But it ended up being all right. It was just a wild experience, man. But, like, the Wonder Years were just so good. Like, oh.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, they're easily in my top don't know if I'd say top 10, but they're in my top bands for sure. That's like when they come on, like I'll never skip it. I'm always like, fuck yeah, dude. Wonder Years. Oh yeah. Yeah, the last album was pretty good too.
Oh, for sure. You're a pretty big Beartooth guy, right?
I love Beartooth, man.
Didn't you get to
wait for that new album?
Didn't you get to go on stage and like do?
Yeah, I sang with Caleb. It was their first tour. They were opening for it was them, Defeater. Hold on, it was Beartooth, then it was Defeater, and then it was Bless the Fall.
Okay.
And then August Burns Red was headlining. But yeah, like that was my first time like crowd surfing. I got to the stage, and then like right as I was about to jump off, like I was on the edge, like getting ready, and Caleb like grabbed me by the shirt and like pulled me back and like put the mic to my face, and we both just screamed for a couple seconds, and I was freaking out because I was like, holy shit, like that's like one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
And then my friend got a picture she was in the pit, but it was really blurry. Like the light was all overexposed and it was all blurry. Like you could barely see that it was me. And then like a couple of days later, someone tagged me on Facebook and they were like, yo, is that you? And my buddy's friend happened to be their photographer at that show.
Yeah.
And so he got a picture of that, and when my buddy was scrolling through their Facebook, he saw it and tagged me in it. So that's how I found it.
Dude, I remember that picture.
Yeah, I try and flex on that every chance I get. Anytime someone brings up Beartooth, I'm like, yo, look at this.
Yeah, it's super cool. Was that in Utah, I'm assuming? You guys have like a small venue there that y'all can just like hop on the stage or...
Yeah, it was at this place. It was called the Murray Theater.
Mm-hmm.
That was the ultimate place for any show, dude. Because there was no security at that show. It was just the stage. So like, anytime a band was there, they were always like, "Yo, come up!" Like crowd surfing, stage diving.
That's cool.
And then some asshole bought it, and he's like renovating it to be like something else now. So there's no shows there anymore.
Dude, that's so lame. Yeah,
that sucked, man. I love that place so much.
And anytime I've seen shows, it's usually at like the theater I went to or like the Sands in Bethlehem. Like it's a bigger venue, so there is no like you can crowd surf, but there is no like getting on stage. There's usually a pretty big gap between the stage and the barrier. I actually saw Blink, dude. Have you ever seen Blink?
Yeah, dude. I saw Blink twice with Tom and twice with Matt.
Okay.
I saw them right after they got back together, like that reunion tour.
Yeah. Was Tom as bad as the YouTube videos show?
No, he was good the first time I saw him. No, both times. He was good.
Yeah.
He was good. And I've seen Angels and Airwaves probably like 8 times.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen it. That was my first concert, actually. So like my first... Wait, no, never mind. Because like my first official concert was the '07 Warped Tour.
Okay.
That was like my first actual quote unquote concert. But my first show, like actual, like I went to go see a specific band. It was Weezer, and Angels and Airwaves was opening for them.
Interesting.
They were the co-headliner.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I've seen them headline so many times. Tom does great, dude. Like I've seen those videos where he's like just sounding like ass, but no, man, every time I've watched them, he sounds great.
Yeah, I was a total Tom fanboy for like the longest time. I did the backwards hat thing. I did the I mean I guess all of Blink did it, the Dickies shorts with the high socks, like I was a Blink stan for the longest time, and they're still I tell everyone they're my favorite band of all time. Like that will never change because of all they've done for me, not just like personally, like on a personal level, but like as a musician. Like they're the reason why I got into recording. They're the reason why I took guitar so seriously. Like they are it. And so many people through the years have not understood that. They're like, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten called gay for liking Blink, and I'm like, they're phenomenal. Like why don't you check them out more than like All the Small Things, which is still a great song, but like
yeah, I feel that. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm at the point now where like I'm okay with admitting that I have other like bands that I like more than Blink, or they're like but at the root of it, yeah, like that's the whole reason. I'll never forget. My buddy played me "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket," and it was like immediate, bro. I was like, I gotta play drums, bro. I gotta go buy drums. I gotta start taking lessons. I gotta figure this out.
That's super cool.
And the way that you were with Tom, that's how I was with Travis, man. I would watch every interview with Travis that I could. Yeah. And when he would bring up like, oh, you know, I would listen to this, or like I grew up listening to this, like I just added to my list and be like, oh, that's another artist I got to check out.
Yeah.
And I feel like doing that, I started learning, like once I learned about his influences, I learned about their influences and their influence, and that just like branched me out to where I'm just like, I'll listen to anything, bro. You know, it's all,
yeah.
It all serves a purpose, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Travis gets so much shit, dude. I'll never understand from drummers, bro. Yeah. Like so many drummer haters, bro. Travis sucks, bro. He's not even that good. And I'm like, fuck off, bro. Shut up.
I couldn't even tell you the guy that was like one of my best friends for a long time. We were jamming regularly, and he would always talk about how much like he thought Travis sucked. And I think as he's gotten older and matured, like he's more like, you know, I respect what he's done for the business. He's a great drummer. But like I remember we were like 15 or 16, and I worked at the music store where he took drum lessons, and he would, you know, he was like, oh, my drum teacher said that he could beat Travis in a drum off. He was like, yeah, he said all Travis does is stuff with his snare. He sucks. And I was like, dude, what? Like, he was voted like best rock drummer of the year or something like that the one year. And he was like, well, I don't care what that says. He's not that great. And I was like, dude, come on, man. Like, don't be that.
I remember watching a video where fucking like I'm not a huge fan. So I Steve Vai. Mm-hmm. So I respect Steve Vai, and I know that Steve Vai is probably like, at least today, like the most technical and probably like the best guitarist alive. Like there's nothing he can't do. I'm just not a fan of his music. You know what I mean? Yeah. I respect him as a musician, but like I just can't get into his music. But I remember watching an interview with him where he was like, I think Travis Barker's like probably one of the greatest rock drummers of all time.
Yeah.
And then Max Weinberg talks about Travis, about what a great drummer he is. You know what I mean? So it's like, I stopped caring about what other people said, what other people were saying, when I realized that like these drum gods that are like top tier above everybody, like they all have good things to say about Travis. You know what I mean? Or like other musicians that have worked with Travis are like, Travis is a phenomenal drummer, dude. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't care about anybody else's opinion now.
Yeah. I saw Blink with Matt. I almost saw him with Tom in like 2013. I wasn't able to get tickets though. That was like shortly after Dogs Eating Dogs came out, and I remember they played some stuff off Dogs Eating Dogs, and I was like, dude, like I'm so sad I missed that. But I will say,
bro, Dogs Eating Dogs is probably the best things they've ever released, bro.
It is really good.
That whole EP was so unexpected. I remember we talked about it when it came out, and we were like, yo, did you see Blink release a new EP?
Yeah, I was so hyped.
That EP has no business being as good as it was. Mm-hmm. Like it was just that EP is how I feel like they should have gone. Like Dogs Eating Dogs was the perfect blend of Tom's Angels and Airwaves,
of course,
mixed with what Blink was doing. Like they should have stuck with that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I remember that one I had pre-ordered on iTunes, and I stayed up till midnight to listen to it on like a school night. And I was asleep by the time the first song was over. But, like, that first song, dude, that whenever that chorus hits, that's just like, oh, like, what this could have become, you know? Like, if they had a whole album in that style, oh, that would have been so wild. So good.
Yeah, dude.
I'm a huge Matt Skiba fan, and this is my thing. I love Blink with both of them. I support Tom and whatever the hell he's doing. Like, go chase your aliens, bud. Like, good for you. If that's what you love, go for it. I'm a huge Alkaline Trio fan, and it was wild the way that unfolded because my older sister and my brother-in-law, again, they introduced me to Trio like a year before Skiba joined Blink. And so then it was like I remembered seeing like Blink was going to play some festival. It was the day I found out Tom left the band the second time. And I was like, oh, Blink with Matt Skiba. I was like, wait, who's Matt Skiba? And like I was thinking maybe he's like one of Travis's DJ friends, or like he's like some guest appearance or something. And then I looked him up on Wikipedia and I was like, oh, the guy from Alkaline Trio, like, wait, that's that guy? Like, why is he playing with Blink? And then I was thinking like maybe Tom was sick, or because prior to that they had a fill in for Travis when Travis couldn't go overseas. So I was like, oh, maybe Tom's sick. But then like all the news broke and I was like, what the fuck? But I love Skiba, man. And like the first album they did with him, I think was good, but it was also like not what I think people wanted. Whereas I think the more recent one, 9, was like, that's what I was expecting. It's like got Skiba's dark elements, but it's like got the like the electronics and the grittiness of Plus 44, which is what I initially wanted from like the new Blink.
Yeah, so with me, I'm kind of the opposite where, well, first of all, have you seen Tom DeLonge's Ernie Ball special?
I have.
As soon as that special was done, bro, I just found so much more respect for him, where I was like, dude, you really gave up like everything that you were doing in this band because you really just wanted to pursue what you loved and just live like a life of meaning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I respect it. So I completely understood and respected his decision to leave Blink. So the way it went for me, everyone shat on California.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. Like,
I thought it was good too.
I think California is a phenomenal album. Left Alone, Teenage Satellites, bro, that whole album was solid. And not what I was expecting, because I've been a fan of Alkaline Trio since like high school.
Yeah.
And I've always loved Alkaline Trio. I just didn't know how it would feel with them, with Matt joining Blink. But California proved me wrong. I loved it. I did. To this day, it's probably one of my favorite Blink albums, to be honest.
Right.
9, however, like had a handful of songs where I was like, these are good. Like I get it. Like these are dope. I like them. Everything else on that album, I just didn't vibe with it.
Gotcha.
Like I couldn't get into it. I've tried multiple times. Like I said, there's those handful of songs that I really enjoy, but 9 was just like, okay, I guess. Like they released another album. Yeah. I guess, like, you know, whatever. I feel bad, like, as a Blink fan even saying that, because I feel like I've always been like a ride or die fan.
Yeah.
And that's the first time they've ever released anything where I've been like, okay, like that was, I guess that's a thing. But their next album that they're recording, like they already announced Grimes is in it.
Yep.
Lil Uzi has a collab on it. Pharrell has a collab on it.
Dude, Pharrell's so good.
I love Pharrell. Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like I hate using the phrase like it's their cash cow now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of just how it feels to me, where I'm just like, I think they're just milking it now. Especially when I saw this collab.
Yeah.
Because the only time they've ever done a collab was with
Yellow Wolf.
And even, which was surprisingly a really good collab. So like, I'm kind of optimistic. You know what I mean? Like they might make it work.
Yeah.
Especially with Pharrell. Pharrell's like a phenomenal producer, instrumentalist. You know what I mean? He's just great at everything he produces. But then I'm like, Lil Uzi, like, I don't know.
See, I like him, but yeah, like I'm trying to figure out where he would fit into Blink.
Yeah, like unless you're talking, maybe he just sings a chorus, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which I get it, but so their next album, I am not too excited for, but something that I've learned this far in my life, I've been humbled numerous times in my life. Yeah. It's like, hey, like I could be proven entirely wrong, you know, with MGK, perfect example. You know what I mean? I went into it like, I guess we'll see how this goes. Prove me wrong entirely. It was a great album. So who knows? We'll see how the next album goes for them.
For sure. And it's really funny that like we're kind of flipped, because I would put 9 in my top 3. Blink, I'd put it above the self-titled, and that's probably a cardinal sin to most Blink fans. Hot takes, but
that's a big claim.
I mean, for me personally, I think it came at a good point in my life. I was going through like a really heavy point, and that was like the final nail in the coffin that allowed me to like move on. Only time will tell. We'll have to see where they go from there. Let's wrap up with one discussion. We'll just couple words about one artist, Hayley Williams. Woo. You and I have, I think, probably talked for years about our eternal crushes on her.
She's come up multiple times. Yes, absolutely.
Man, I think she is to blame for why I have always had a thing for like colored hair and pale skin and freckles. And,
especially the hair is one thing, bro. The pale skin for me is like, if I see a pale chick, I'm just like, that's it, bro. That's I'm going after it.
It's so funny. Like my girlfriend is really pale, and she's always like, "I'm so pale," and I'm like, "I like that. Stop. Like,
I know.
Don't change that, please." And she's like, "Why?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think it was just a subliminal thing." The first time I saw the music video was when she did Airplanes with B.O.B. That was my first exposure to her, and I was like,
really?
Yeah, because
damn.
like this. Like, I mean, you're what? Like,
how old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay, 7 years.
Okay, yeah. So like I'm like a little bit behind the game on getting into artists and stuff, but like, yeah, I was watching VH1 on a Saturday morning, and B.O.B.'s song Airplanes came on with her, and I was like, who is this girl? I was in like middle school at the time, but I was like, she's the most gorgeous human I've ever seen in my entire life, you know. And just huge respect to her though for like everything she's done. Like Paramore, great. Her solo stuff I haven't given a shot yet, but you reviewed it.
I did. It's very different. It's more vulnerable. Like it's not the Paramore gig where you go into it and you're like, you know, that's what you get, you know, having a good time. It's very like you can tell that she just sat in her room and just let it out. You know what I mean? It's nothing at all like Paramore, which is dope though.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, dude, for my first time seeing her was in that in the That's What You Get video.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember seeing this redhead and just being like, that's it, bro. Dude, I think man, I believe that one of the biggest mistakes anyone has ever made in their lives is the lead singer the guitarist of Newfound Glory cheating on her.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
She talks about it in one of her. It was either the first EP or it was in this one, because apparently, at least from what I'm gathering, like he was married and he cheated on his wife with her, but he's like a very like, I guess just like reading up on Newfound Glory, that's just what he does. Damn. And then he cheated on her, and I'm just like, look, man, like not to sound like an asshole, I don't know who your ex-wife was, but if I was with somebody and Haley Williams was, all I'm saying is like in the initial one, I understand because it's Haley Williams, bro. Like I understand. I'm sorry, but to cheat on Haley Williams, bro, and not only that, but to marry her
and then cheat on her, and like he had to have known there was going to be something written about him.
And for me, it's like I'm just saying that I hope he hears this one day. It's like you're not even in the status to cheat on Haley Williams, bro. Yeah. You're the guitarist for Newfound Glory, like who is, you know what I mean?
I feel like they've fizzled out by this point.
They did, man. Yeah, like like if you find them on Instagram, you know, you can tell like they do music, but they need a side hustle too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is like
calling you out, Newfound Glory. Whatever your guitarist name is it Chad something, or is that the vocalist?
Oh, he's a total Chad too. Yeah. The name alone should have just fucking given it away. And the thing is with Newfound Glory, they've got I could probably count like 10 songs that like through high school and growing up, it was like fun pop punk music my friends and I would listen to. But like that's one band like I never was like too hyped about. I never really understood.
Yeah. I just got Sticks and Stones recently, and it's a really good album, but like I'm not gonna go out and buy their whole discography now. Like that's probably gonna be like the album I have, and I'm like, this is cool once in a while.
Yeah. They're one of those bands where if they announce tomorrow, like, oh, we're officially breaking up, I'd be like, all right. Like not to sound like an asshole, but it's one of those bands where I would just be like, I didn't even know they were still together, dude. Like I didn't.
Oh my god.
You know, it's like whatever.
Yeah. Just love to Haley Williams, you know, for every, you know, Paramore and like, you know, all those bands from that era, like
and Paramore's grown so much, dude. Like, woof.
Is After Laughter their most recent one with like Hard Times and Rose Colored Boy?
Yeah, After Laughter was their last one.
I remember when the single for that dropped, and I was like at work, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to go home and listen to this. And my own coworker was like, dude, it's weird. I listened to it. You're not gonna like it. or maybe he wasn't like, you're not gonna like it, but he's like, it's different. And I checked it out, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, I was into some weird stuff at the time, so it was cool. And the song,
they experimented a lot.
The song on their Pool, that's like one of my favorite Paramore songs of all time. So good.
Yeah, that's the same album with Fake Happy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fake Happy really took me for like a spin, bro, because I was like, woof, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Brand New Eyes is always going to be my favorite Paramore album.
So
though.
solid, though. Yeah,
from start to finish, bro. There was
well, that was the VH1 show I was watching when I saw Airplanes. A couple weeks later, the music video for The Only Exception came out, and I was like, it's that girl again. I was like, oh, she's in another band. Like, I was like, oh, no way, you know? So, like,
it's just like she's just in your dreams, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like in Scott Pilgrim, where he sees Ramona in his dreams right before running into her in real life.
Yeah,
There's that girl again.
Yeah, so funny, man. But it's funny. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because recently I texted you, because I think you posted something about Hayley Williams on Twitter, and you were like, you're just like, bro, I'm gonna marry her one day. And then I was like, I replied to the tweet, and then I found this artist that I'm like really into now. She does like, I'm on like the lo-fi like chill beats and stuff right now. Like, that's the wave I'm in. There's this artist called Bad Snacks, and it's a girl. And I was like, she makes as a musician, she makes some of the weirdest sounds. And it's so cool to me. Like, I just think anyone, you know, regardless of their sex or age or whatever, like, who has that level of talent that either Hayley Williams or Bad Snacks or any of these bands we've talked about, like, it's just super attractive to me because, you know, there's just like that drive and like having that passion for something I think is really cool, you know.
Yeah,
but I remember I texted you and I was like, bro, you can have Hayley Williams. I'll take Bad Snacks. She's like my new musician crush, you know, like.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel about like Billie Eilish too, where I was just like, dude, if you're that young and you're that able to like hone in on your talents, bro, like good on you. Like, like I kind of feel bad because I've watched her interviews, you know what I mean? Like the ones that have progressed from the time she was like 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And like that's one downfall, obviously, with like any child entertainer. But with her, it's like, because when I first heard her, I was like, dude, she's like 15. Like, what's a 15-year-old gonna, you know, make music like this? You know, that kind of like typical like asshole thing, right? It's like, what 15-year-old actually knows about heartbreak, bro?
Yeah.
Breakup. But I heard her album and was just completely blown away, dude, where I was just like, holy shit, man, like this chick, like she is on it. Like she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Billie Eilish, I think is like, dude, she's a solid performer. Solid. Just solid. I mean, I guess a musician would be the work. I know her brother Phineas does most of like the work. She just sings, but dude, her vocal talents, like she's amazing. Like I love Billie Eilish.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's really cool that like we're in a time where anyone could make a song and just blow up somehow, like the same way your videos just kind of did with the Dance Gavin Dance review, you know, like if you've ever listened to Lil Mosey, I got into him recently. He had like a song that he just like posted on SoundCloud and it blew up, and now he's like this huge artist. But it's the digital age. It's like where we're at in time now, you know, and it's really a weird but cool.
I love it, dude. People complain now about like, oh, like, you know, everyone just, there's like too much music going out, like too much shit going on. But I'm like, dude, this is like I feel like we're living in perfect times, bro. Where I was talking to my guitar teacher about this. We were talking about just kind of like maybe starting like a little project, you know, and you know, we were talking about it like being busy and like trying to find the time to start writing stuff and like trying to put something out. And I was just saying, like, we're living in a time where if you want to do music like full time and that's what you want to do, you want to tour, you want to make that your living. If you're not, it's entirely on you. Because nowadays it's like, it's not like back in the day where it was like, oh, I want to be a musician, and it's like, oh, you gotta find someone to go record with. You gotta have all these connections, do all this, do that. It's like, bro, if you can muster the patience to like save up maybe like $1,000 to $2,000, and I'm talking like for some nice shit, like you can set up your own little studio in your bedroom and record and release your own shit.
That's
like
what
if you're
did.
not, yeah, exactly. It's like if you're not doing it, it's you simply just are not driven enough because the resources are there. Like back in high school, bro, when I had a ton of bands in high school. Anytime we wanted to record anything, it was like we gotta hit up so and so, in this city like 45 minutes away, or we got to set up a meeting with so and so to try and schedule some studio time. You know what I mean? Or maybe you got lucky and one of your friends owned a mixer and had some mics. You could record a shitty little track. But nowadays it's like you can record high quality shit in your own bedroom by yourself.
And even if you can't mix it, there's people online doing freelance mixing that you can just send it to them and be like, hey, can you mix this for me?
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely really cool, and it's a wild time that we live in, but I think that's a really good note to wrap on, is basically if you want to do something and you have the drive to do it, just follow your dreams and
literally just 100%, man. Yeah. We're living in a time now where it's not unattainable, where before, even like when I was in high school, it was like, I want to be a musician. And it's just like, no, you got to go to school. Like, do you know what the odds are becoming a musician? Where now it's like, you want to be a musician, bro? That's cool. Start putting stuff out and just playing shows.
Exactly.
Like it's as easy as that. Like you got to know some people, but as far as putting stuff out and releasing your music, just fucking do it, man. You know what I mean?
For sure. I'm really glad we get to wrap on that note. We had a great talk about outlets. We talked about where we're going and what we want to do, and we talked about the bands and artists that shaped us, and I think that's a really, really solid episode. I'm really glad we were able to do this, man.
Should do it again, bro.
Dude, for sure. I love the music talks. Those episodes always do really well. But man, like, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And
thanks for having me, bud. I appreciate it. We got to do this more often and not just for podcasts.
Dude, super fun. Yeah, and like we got the power, again, the power of the internet. You can talk to someone across the country. Yeah. Like,
exactly. We got it, man.
Really wild. But for those listening, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you like what you heard, give us a follow on SoundCloud or whatever app you're listening from. You can check us out on Instagram at FueledByCoffeePod. I'm also on Twitter, but I'm not as active on there, and possibly Facebook. But give us a follow, give us some support. We have stickers, we have shirts, there's a Teespring page. Just give us all the support if you liked what you heard. I appreciate you listening, and join us. The next episode is our big finale for this season. I think I titled it in an earlier episode, the Multi-Man Meat Fest. There's gonna be like 4 or 5 of us on the episode, so it's gonna be a fun one. So you won't want to miss it. But check in
the triple MF,
the triple MF. But check in 2 weeks. Check out our other episodes here on SoundCloud, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next one.